Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. It's Teacher Nivs, Dr. Joe's reading and writing class. Date is July 24th. I really thought no one was going to show up today. I was just about to message Dr. Joe saying, hey, something wrong? Am I missing something? Um, okay, let's get started. Can you guys throw a 36 in the chat? Throw a 36 in the chat. Can you guys hear me? Oh. Annabelle 35. Very close. Very close. Although 35 and 36 don't really sound much alike. Samuel, can you hear me? Okay, nice. Awesome. Awesome. Okay, let's get started. So, let's do a quick homework review. Can I get Annabelle? Can you do the first two?
What was supposed to be a tense courtroom drama ended up being unintentionally hilarious thanks to its risible dialogue and over-the-top acting. After the exhausting peregrination through a dense jungle, the travelers finally reached the remote village.
Nice. Samuel, can you do the last three?
Okay. The general threat into uh defenestrate the tree, flinging it out the window of the stunned diplomats. She remained in a fog of okay. October for hours, barely responding even when her phone rang repeatedly. His grandmother's sibilant remarks about the coming winter haunted him for days, especially after the storm hit unexpectedly.
Nice, nice. Speaking of storm, I'm in an area that has a tornado warning right now. So if all of a sudden I stop speaking and you hear bangs, that means my home has flown away.
That means they're gone.
That means I'm gone. Please remember me well. Okay, let's get going to the book and author of the day. Can I get Jaria? Can you read this?
The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. Mark Haddon. Christopher John Francis Boone, known all the countries of the world and their capitals and every prime number up to 7,057. He relates well to animals but has no understanding of human emotions. He cannot stand to be touched, and he detests the color yellow. This improbable story of Christopher's quest to investigate the suspicious death of a neighborhood dog, makes for one of the most captivating, unusual, and widely heralded novels in recent years.
Awesome. Okay. So, this story is very famous, or not famous, very popular because it is written in the eyes of someone who is neurodivergent. Who here knows what neurodivergent means? Anybody?
Isn't neurodivergent like their brain is like different than everyone else's? Like a
Yeah, yeah.
diversion? Because a diversion is like you're different. Like I like kind of like that.
Yes. Yes. I love the breakdown of the word. Great. Yes. So a lot of people on the like people with Asperger's or autism, things like that are considered neurodivergent, but it's a sort of a spectrum, and um it's very interesting. So it's written. I think the author is neurodivergent himself, so it's written. The character in the book is neurodivergent, and it sort of goes through his thought process as he goes through a specific scenario. And in the book, he relates to dogs more, and he sort of explains why, and it's quite interesting. Okay, can I get James, can you read this one?
Mark Haddon is a British author, illustrator, and screenwriter, best known for his 2003 novel, The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime. Born on September 26, 1962, in Northampton, England, Haddon studied English at Merton College, Oxford, and later earned a MA in creative writing. Before his breakout novel, he wrote and illustrated numerous children's books and worked in television, including writing for children's programs like Microsoap. Through Curious Incident is often categorized as a young adult novel. Haddon has emphasized that he wrote it for adults. The story, narrated by a 15-year-old boy with autism-like traits, won multiple awards, including the White Bread Book of the Year. Haddon is also known for his poetry, short stories, and novels such as A Spot of Bother and The Red House. He lives in Oxford with his family and he continues to write across genres.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for reading that. All right, let's move on to the quote of the day. I couldn't actually find a quote of his that I thought would be make for a good analysis, so I kind of picked a different one. Sometimes we make choices, and sometimes choices make us. If I Stay by Gail Forman. Do you agree with this quote? Obviously that you have to explain why, and I really want examples in this one. Examples. I think the time is fine. Let us do a start the timer starting 5 minute timer starting now. All right. Time is up. Let's see what we came up with. All right, Samuel, would you like to start us off?
Oh, was I allowed to use like a non-fiction, I mean like a fiction example because I couldn't really think of anything for real life.
That's okay. I would have preferred real life, but it's okay.
Okay. I totally agree with this quote because the choices we make can impact how we act as human beings. For instance, in The Hunger Games by Susan Collins, Katniss becomes a Mockingjay because of the attempt to make the games have no winner. Oh, I forgot to explain it. I agree with the quote by Gail Forman because it's not all about what we do, but how it affects us as individuals.
It's not all about what we do, but how it's agree with the quote because okay, so my only thing is I'm assuming we're talking about life here, but it should be explained or it should be said something clearly. The quote, it's not about what we do, but how it affects us as individuals. Okay, great. For instance, comma. Yeah, so this is great. But we definitely need a little bit more context as to maybe what sometimes we make choices, sometimes the choices make us. Like, what part of the quote are you referring to? Is the whole thing maybe a great chance because the choices we make can impact how we act as human beings. I want to say the choices we make can impact who we become as human beings or who we become afterwards, right? Because that's more so what the quote is trying to say, not how we act afterwards. I guess how we act is part of who we are, but it's just I think you have a great general idea, but things need to be a little bit more clear, right? It's not all about what we do, but how it affects us all. And then again, here you're sort of saying choices we make impact how we act, which I guess means who you are. But then here it's not what we do, but how it affects us as individuals. But in the first line, you're kind of implying how we act and what we do is who we are. So there is some overlap here that needs to be clarified. So just overall clarity. In your response there. But I think I know what you're trying to say here. So good stuff there. All right, Xiaoya, go for it.
This quote by Gary Foreman reminds us that our choices make up who we are and that our entire personality is from our choices. Oh, I just repeated the same thing. This quote tells us that we are who we are entirely, which is 100% true. I kind of repeated that. For example, if you try to fit in with a specific clique or group, it might be difficult to maintain a strong friendship with them since your personality and choices are so different from theirs.
Awesome. So this quote reminds us that our choices make who we are and that our entire personality is from our choices. Oh, I just don't like the word from our choices here is dictated by our choices. Maybe a bit is a bit better. This quote tells us that we are who we are entirely, which is 100% true. Okay, I would put a comma here. Makes it a little clearer. This quote tells us that we are who we are entirely. I'm not sure. Okay, maybe this is just me. I'm not too sure I understand this actually in this context. Our choices make up. Yeah, I think this just needs to be fleshed out a bit more. For example, if you try to fit in with a specific clique or group, it might be difficult to maintain strong friendship with them since your personality and choices are so different from theirs. From your personality and choices are so different from theirs. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, my issue here is just I guess you're trying to say the choices you make is dictated. Your choices make up who you are. Your entire personality is dictated by your choices. So your choices are who you are. Okay. The quote tells us, Zhao, you unmuted yourself. Do you have something to add?
No. That's what I mean. It's just kind of hard to like put in words.
Yes. So I think this line should just say this quote tells us that our choices are who we are, maybe. And then after that, it might, since your personality and the choices you can even just get rid of the choices you make if you clarify here that your personality is your choices. And then here you could just say personality. So, or you could say, since your personality and your pattern of choices, etc., are so different from theirs. Okay, good stuff, Xiaoya. Okay, James, go for it.
I think that this quote means that sometimes we make good choices and sometimes we make bad choices. For example, sometimes I choose to eat ice cream even though it clearly isn't healthy for me. This shows that even though it isn't good for me, I still do it because I'm craving ice cream. Sometimes people make poor choices even though they know that they shouldn't.
Ah, interesting. Okay, so you took this as sometimes we make choices, sometimes choices make us, as sometimes we make choices which is positive, and sometimes choices make us, like as in the choices are made for us. We don't really have much control over it, like we're craving something, and this is sort of the negative. So that's a different way of looking at it. Nice. Um, awesome. The only thing I would add here is the other interpretation is, sometimes the choices you make up who you are or affect you for life, uh or choices are out of your control and then they make us, right? So maybe something like this is you keep falling into your craving and then you don't really feel like you have a choice, then all of a sudden, you weigh um double what you want to weigh or something like that. And then that sort of makes you, and it wasn't really a choice you were actively making. That's sort of maybe a way to add on to that. Not necessary. Okay, good stuff though. Good stuff though, James. Okay, we got Russell and Annabelle. All right, Russell, go for it.
This quote is suggesting that we actively make decisions in our daily lives, but the consequences of those decisions end up shaping who we are. I agree with this quote because I believe that cause and effect aren't always one-sided. When one affects another, the change usually ripples back. One example exemplifying this is if how how if you decide to turn down a job offer of the CEO of Tesla to a McDonald's manager in Ohio, that will impact you for the rest of your life.
But the consequences, because I believe the cause and effect are always one-sided. When one affects another, the change usually ripples back. Ooh, good stuff. Good quote. One example exemplifying this. I don't know if I don't know if I would put example exemplifying just because they're very similar, but maybe it's not actually a problem. Is how you decide to turn down a job offer of the CEO of technology to a McDonald's manager. Turn down a job offer to be a McDonald's manager in Ohio. Why Ohio? Oh, this is some Gen Z thing. Ohio. Everyone keeps making fun of Ohio, right? Or
Yeah,
Gen
because
X.
Ohio is apparently like really weird and stuff.
What? You guys know LeBron James is from Ohio, right?
It is where I went to a McDonald's
LeBron.
in Ohio before, and then uh, for some reason, like this is actually like true. So like there was a fry sticking like out of the back, like there was a hole in the back.
Oh, I see. Yeah, at the bottom of the bag.
Yeah, there was a hole in the back. There was a hole in
Yeah.
my back. And there was
Yeah,
a fry sticking out.
yeah, that happens. That I've been there. Um, you guys and your dissing Ohio. Okay, good stuff though, Russell. This is very and you know what? This is a very clear example too. It's almost a meme, like it's sort of a extreme example. But sometimes, you only have a paragraph. Choose an extreme example really highlights your point. So I would say good choice. Annabelle, would you like to read yours?
What this quote is trying to convey is that sometimes we have the freedom to make choices, but sometimes we have to do something. For example, you have a choice whether you want to go to the park or study. However, when it comes to going to the park or going to school, you have to go to school. I agree with this quote because sometimes people just have to do something whether they like it or not.
So okay, I really like this. I really like your interpretation here. I just think that this choice of wording is not harsh enough. Um, you're trying to say that sometimes we have freedom to make choices, sometimes we don't, right? So, okay, one thing you could do is just say we don't. Another thing you could do is say sometimes we don't have choices. Sometimes the choices are made for us. Sometimes um, you're forced to do something, so etc. I would just saying we have to do something is too weak because, oftentimes we say we have to do a lot of stuff, right? I have to do my homework. Sometimes you forget to do your homework. So like it doesn't feel harsh enough or extreme enough. So that this just needs to be improved. For example, you have choice whether you want to go to the park or study. However, when it comes to going to the park or going to school, you have to go to school. I agree with school because okay. I like your example being grounded in reality, but I think that there are, I think that it would be better if you could come up with an example that was a little bit more extreme. Um, Not necessarily extreme, just like maybe along these lines, you could when it comes to like you have the freedom to make choices, whatever, you could go to school or go to the park. But if you skip school to go to the park all the time, then when it comes to, going into applying for college or university, you won't have a choice. You made those choices before, but now you don't have a choice. You cannot go to, most of the uh schools that are hard to get into, right? Or all of the schools that are hard to get into if you consistently, skip school, make the choice to skip school. So that's so I think that would be like maybe a next step here if you had more time and it would really strengthen your argument. Um okay, that is that for that section. Good stuff, guys. You guys came up with some good scenarios and interpretations. Okay, so another day of vocab words that I don't use on a daily basis. I don't think, okay, actually, I've used numinous pretty often. But I've read quotidian a couple times. Honestly, the other ones I don't think I've used at all this year, or even came across this year. Um, okay, so can I get a volunteer reader? Any takers? All right. Um, let's go with Russell.
Vituperate. Verb. To criticize or insult someone harshly and angrily. The politician vituperated his opponents with a venomous rant. Numinous. Adjective. Having a mysterious, spiritual, or awe-inspiring quality. The cathedral's stained glass windows cast a luminous glow over the pews, whatever. Panegyric, panegyric, noun. A public speak or written text in praise of someone or something. She delivered a heartfelt panegyric honoring her mentor's legacy. Quotidian, adjective, ordinary or everyday, especially when mundane. He longed for adventure beyond his quotidian routine of work and sleep. Redolent, adjective, strongly reminiscent or suggestive of something. Fragrant. The attic was redolent of old books, dust, and memories.
Awesome. Okay. 3 minute timer starting now. I'll throw these in the chat, by the way. All right, I gave you guys an extra minute. Let's see. Do we have every submission? We're missing one. But anyways, okay, Jaya, start us off.
Bob wrote a numinous panegyric in a redolent library for his quote
Quotidian?
quotidian dad who regularly vituperated his workers. Did I spell that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
So
Like,
this
it was really
is, I don't know what my language setting is set to, but I think it's only relevant
oh,
in
it's
British English. So this is fine. Um, very good job. Very good job. Okay, James, go for it.
It was quotidian that Jimmy vituperated his friend's panegyric about his numinous and redolent pig.
Okay, okay. Um, I would say just saying it was quotidian uh is a little bit awkward. I would just add maybe it was a quotidian day or it was a quotidian occurrence um when Jimmy vituperated his friends, etc. Right? Um, just because we don't have context to more of what the it was, I guess. Um, all right, Jeff, or sorry, Samuel, go for it.
Jeff was a numerous person that gave quotidian panegyrics about his vituperate towards people with redolent perfumes.
About his vituperate. So vituperate is a verb. Yeah, so this wouldn't work. Um, he gave quotidian panegyrics about his. Okay. Um, we would this would need to be workshopped. Okay, Russell, go for it.
Bob vituperated the quotidian George for delivering a panegyric about the numinous throne, which was redolent of fine cloth and silk.
Nice. Okay, good. Redolent of fine. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Okay, Annabelle, would you like to read yours?
The quotidian person vituperated the numinous panegyric, even though many people like the redolent theme.
Awesome. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, good job, guys. Let us keep going. Okay, so we're gonna go on to the summarization practice, a quick summarization activity. Let's do 2 minutes, okay? It's 2 minutes. I want read through and summarize. Okay, actually, wait, where's my slide for this? I had a slide for this. I might have deleted it. Oh, no. Okay. Read through and summarize in 3 sentences. So maybe I'll give 3 minutes for this, okay? So 3 minutes to read and summarize. Okay, going to start a 3 minute timer, and at 3 minutes, it's done. Okay, so at 3 minutes, I want you to actually just submit whatever you're writing, even if you're not done. The reason being, I want us to, like, if you are one sentence in, you didn't even get a sentence in, then for this activity, I want you to just sort of see that and maybe work on it, improving that, right? This one is not really about me reviewing the work. This one is actually just a time practice, speed practice activity. Okay. So it's a little bit different than the other ones. So starting the 3-minute timer now. Okay, time's up. Submit what you have. I actually gave an extra 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Submit check. If you have nothing, that's okay. That is okay. That just means, oh, I don't know if you guys heard that little thunder. Um, okay. If you have nothing, that's okay. It just means that we need to uh practice sort of reading quicker, typing quicker, etc. Okay, I see a lot of you guys submitting now with full sentences, which means you guys are just still finishing up your sentences and then submitting. And Annabelle, you cannot edit to add more. This is about this is a timed activity, okay? I want to see the mistakes and I want to see sentences that are not complete. If you don't submit on time, of course. Um, Okay, anyways. With that being said, I have two qu questions while it's still fresh, and then we'll look at the summarizations. So I'm just gonna actually add these questions in the chat. I'm gonna put a 1 minute timer to answer the questions, starting now. So the questions are in the chat. Actually, 1 minute is too long. I'm going to change that to 30 seconds, or from now on, 20 seconds. Okay. Imbibe means, in this case, to consume, so D and then B. Awesome. Okay, most of you guys are on the right track. Okay, good stuff. And we have a little bit of time, I think. So let's take a shot at another hot take. So maybe we won't have time to oh, actually, sorry, before we do that, let me quickly look at your summaries. Sammy says a man named Dr. Twill went on a business trip to country towns where he made a lot of profit by selling cures. Nice. Dr. Twill had just returned from the city from the countryside, made a lot of money from selling electrical cures, just like hairbrushes that would cure baldness. Dr. Twill bustled off the platform, eager to see the city lights again. Actually, Xiaoya, I feel like the first sentence in your summary is actually not quite important. He had sold many of his electric cubes and bulging wallet full of money. So a summary is just sort of the main idea, like, a story about um like in this case it would just be, Dr. Twill made a lot of money by selling his electrical cures uh at like towns or cities or whatnot, right? Okay. And the last sentence in yours, Shaya, is pretty important, I would say. So that's fine. Through nearby towns and eager to grab hot coffee. Yeah. So the summary, in my opinion, should be less of story details and more of the general idea, right? Dr. Twill is a guy who sells this, goes to towns and does this, and this is what he wants to do next. Don't need any real details of how he's doing these things unless you think it's important to the plot or story. Okay, so we'll do hot takes. For the hot takes section, we'll still do 4 minutes. That's fine, but we won't have a chance to attack them in writing. We can maybe have a section where we just vote on which ones we maybe agree with or disagree with. Okay, 4 minutes starting now. Okay, time is up. Let's see what we came up with. Um, what, what? I am so confused. The copy function works or doesn't work when there's people reply to messages. So like I copied Jaya's reply and Samuel's original message and it just broke. I don't know. Okay. We're missing a few responses. Just submit what you have, guys. Okay. All right, Samuel, start us off. Yeah, actually, Samuel, start us off. You can read yours, and maybe if you want to say something else, add to it.
Starbucks is overpriced, so people should just make their own drinks.
Okay, nice. Starbucks overpriced. This definitely needs a comma, by the way. So people should make their own drinks. Okay. Who here agrees with Samuel? Raise your hand. I'll do agree, disagree, and then don't know enough. So agree. We have three people agreeing. Who here disagrees? And then last one, raise your hand if you don't know enough to have an opinion. Okay, I think two people just didn't want to raise their hand there. Okay, Xiaoya, read yours.
You should lick ice cream, not bite it. When you lick ice cream out the cone, your teeth don't get frozen solid. But when you bite it, your teeth get so cold you become Jack Frost.
You're so cold you become Jack Frost. Okay, who here agrees with Xiaoya? Raise your hand. Xiaoya, you can also raise your hand. Okay, who here disagrees? Okay, raise your hand if you don't know enough or don't have an opinion. Okay, thank you, Samuel, for raising your hand. Okay. If anyone has a disagreement or question or whatever, you can just raise your hand and open your mic and say it. Okay, Annabelle, would you like to read yours?
Cats are definitely better than dogs no matter what anyone says. They are fluffier and easier to pet. They're also so much cuter. Dogs need a lot of attention and they always distract you from your work. Cats, on the other hand, are way easier to hang out and play with. Most people say cats only care about food and sleep, but that's not true because I once had cats and they would escape once every week.
I once had cats and they would escape once every week. Okay. Dogs need a lot. Okay, so who here agrees with Annabelle? Raise your hand. Annabelle, you can raise your hand. I just want to see the count of. So I'm assuming Annabelle does. Okay. Who here disagrees with Annabelle? You have one hand, two hands. Does anybody want three hands? Does anybody want to say their piece?
Can I say something?
Yep.
I don't know. Cats like I feel like they're only like cute if they're like a pet. Cause like cats are like I don't know. They just aren't as fun as dogs. Cause dogs are like they're like less lazy than cats. Cats are just like extremely lazy, and it's really boring.
Yeah, and cats, they they escape every week. Like you're not gonna see them as much. Like if I'm at my friend's house, I'm never gonna know where their cat is because they're just climbed on something, hiding behind a painting or something.
Dogs are loyal, but
Yeah,
like
dogs are very loyal.
cats are like cats are like
Dogs are also smarter than cats, like base
cats are
kind
like
of.
you serve me.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
when you give a dog food, you're like, oh my God, oh my God, they're giving me food. They must be God. Cats are like, oh my God, they're giving me food. I must be God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that meme. That's true. I'm so sorry, Annabelle. I know my girlfriend is a cat lover and she would be disappointed by the comments in this class today too.
Dogs are better than cats by like 10 million. I'm not even
I have a cat and she woke me up at 4 a.m. for attention. So I don't know. I like both. All right, and Russell, would you like to read yours?
Google's search algorithm is a shadow of what it once was. The once king of research has gotten bogged with ads, irrelevant results, and a ton of clickbait. It's still useful, but it's not as effective as it was pre 2010s. 2010s, whatever.
Okay. Who here agrees? Who here agrees with Russell? Raise your hand. Russell, you can also raise your hand. Okay. Who here disagrees? Okay, who here doesn't know enough to have an opinion? Okay, fair enough. What I will say to yours, Russell, is I 100% agree. It is terrible, and they do a lot of monopolistic practices which are illegal, and they get sued a lot for it. And they were getting sued before Donald Trump took office, and because of those practices. But if there was true competition, Google would still be good, or it would be dethroned by someone better, or something better. But right now, they just have a monopoly on the competition, and they kind of suck. Okay. So with that being said, let's go into our article of the day. So we've actually discussed a topic very, very similar to this in the past, but it's totally fine. We'll just rehash it. So, should parents be upfront about ugliness in the world or try to hide it? When it comes to natural disasters, wars, and other tragedies, do you want your parents to be honest with you or reassure you that everything is going to be okay? Can I get James? Or Jaya, can you read this one?
Haven't we done this one before, though?
Yes, we've done either. I think we did the actual article. This one, we're doing like a summarization of the article just to rehash the points.
Okay.
Okay. Russell?
Can I read the next page?
Okay. Russell, read the next one. Jaya, read this one.
Do you talk with your parents about troubling events happening in your world, your community, or your own life? If you do, how do they respond to your fears and anxieties? Are they upfront about their own thoughts and feelings, or do they try to reassure you and protect you from whatever it is that you're worried about? In the guest essay, My Teenage Son Thinks the World is Falling Apart, I've changed how I talk to him about it. Jake Halpern writes about how he's began moving away from the upbeat assurance and towards the complete transparency. His wife Cassia favors when with her teenage son about concerns, talking with their teenage son about concerns they share. my, sorry, my youngest son Lucian, who is now 15, has a fatalistic streak. He recently observed to me, "The world isn't coming apart, isn't it, Dad?" His proof, which is ample, included climate change, power outages, Ukraine, Gaza, and the protest on the college campus near us. And he didn't seem convinced that any of the world's supreme leaders, as he called them, were doing an especially good job.
Okay, awesome. Um, yeah, supreme leaders. I mean, now is more true than ever. Brutal. Okay, let's keep going. Um,
Me.
Russell, go for it.
How much faith in general do you have in adults? I asked him recently. Not much, he replied. Have you always felt this way? I asked. No, the world was better 10 years ago, he said wistfully, but I never really thought about that kind of stuff when I was 5. Back then, I just thought about what I was going to have for lunch. Fair enough. In one conversation, Lucienne told me, Dad, it's not a matter of if there will be nuclear war, it's a matter of when. He had this look in his eyes, a gleam of defiance, as if he were daring me, the resident optimist, to disagree. I was at a loss for words because, truth be told, I had been inching my way toward that same terrifying realization. The only question was whether I was willing to offer him some grand reassurance that we both knew would be a lie.
Awesome. So that begs a good question. How much faith do you guys have in adults? How about this? In adults today, around to, take care of things like climate change and general well-being and whatnot. Um, give a grade for how much you trust them. So if you trust adults today, uh, trust them a lot, give it an A. If you don't trust adults today, give it an F. Put it in the chat. Just your general feeling, right? Like
Wait,
when,
wait,
yeah.
what was it? Like the rain thing?
How much faith do you have in general in adults today? So like an example, like let, let's see.
No, I know like what numbers is what or
Oh, A if you give it a grade of A if you trust adults or have a lot of faith in them. And then F if you don't, right? So a regular grading scale, like A, B, C, D, E, or not E, A, B, C, D, and then F. AF, what's that?
I do, but I also don't, like kind of.
Okay, then I would say that's more like a C.
Wait, can I leave the meeting? It's kind of getting laggy.
Yeah, sure. Are you going to join back?
I think she just ditched us.
Dun dun. That is ditching class. Okay, interesting. So we got a lot of D's. D.5. Guys, this doesn't exist. It would just be D plus, I guess. Anyways,
0.6.
oh gosh. Okay, Annabelle, how about you read this one?
D.5.
No, sorry, not the slide.
Oh, okay. Uh, Asia, as far as I can tell, feels far less conflicted about discussing the apocalypse. This is perhaps because as a child, she had her own brush with Armageddon. When she was 11 and still living in Poland, the nuclear power plant in Chernobyl had its meltdown in 1986. Her mother and stepfather managed to glean tidbits of information over the crackle of their radio via Radio Free Europe. Everyone feared the worst and scrambled to get hold of iodine pills because they can protect the thyroid against the effects of radiation. Initially, Kezia's parents couldn't find any. Eventually, they learned that a friend of a friend who lived across town had some extra pills. They rushed over, but by the time they arrived, friends explained they only had 2 doses to spare. My parents gave the pills to me and my brother, Keisha recalled. Her mother and stepfather didn't minimize the gravity of the situation. Their approach was to give the kids as much information as possible. The goal they later told me was to build trust with their kids so that they could all respect and depend on one another.
I mean, that is terrifying. This story is absolutely terrifying. But it is quite interesting, given the scenario, the decisions they had to make. Um, so with that being said, let's go over some questions. How do your parents respond when you have concerns about your life, friends' lives, community, or our world? Are they more like Miss Halpern with upbeat reassurances, or his wife, Kezia, who favors complete transparency? And then after that, after you say how your parents are, um, then I want you to answer which approach do you prefer? Okay, so this one will do 5 minutes. Actually, you know what? I think we're getting close to the end. So how about this? We'll do 6.5 minutes. And we'll just add in why. Um, and then just a side note, is this how you plan to be with your potential future kids? So like how you prefer them to be, and then is that also how you plan to be with your future kids potentially. Okay, so starting a relatively long timer, 6 minutes starting now.
Wait, should you put if you like agree that they should do that? Because like it's different for every kid. So, or do you just answer for yourself?
Answer for yourself. So first answer how your parents are in your day-to-day lives, and then do you prefer more like this or more like this or whatever, and why do you prefer it? And then yeah, and then if afterwards you could say like, oh, I plan to be like this if my kid is like this, or if my kid is like that, or I just generally plan to be like this, etc.
Can I go to the bathroom real quick?
Of course.
Okay. I already sent in my response, so if you're reading it and I'm not back, you can just read it.
Awesome. All right, all right. Let's see what we came up with. I'm just gonna duplicate this a few times. Okay. Samuel. Wait, where's Russell's? I guess it's somewhere in here. No, okay. Weird. Okay. Samuel, start us off.
My parents tell me straight up their thoughts on it, but sometimes add some positivity in it. For example, if America was getting bombed, and I would be told America's getting bombed, but our military is still fighting. Personally, I prefer took getting took what? I prefer oh okay. I prefer getting told information directly because it's a lot more practical and I will know how to react instead of having false hope, which will be even worse in the end. With my future kids, I would either tell them or not based on their personalities, and I would consider if how they would react would help us in the situation. If they were more tough and rational, I would lean towards being I meant more straightforward with them. However, if they tend to a, act a lot on their feelings and emotions, then I would try adding parts of the truth with a lot of positivity.
Ah, awesome. Okay, so I like that approach. Sort of treat, uh, what is it? Prescribe based on what you diagnose, right? So if your kids are a certain way, then you respond a certain way, and etc. Okay, cool. Good stuff overall, actually. And I also like your parents' approach personally. I think it's like I think I like how they sort of add hope, and hope is a very, very, very important thing. Okay, Russell, go for it.
My parents are usually pretty true in their words as far as I can tell when discussing global conflicts that would not put us in mortal danger. But when describing something like a nuke that just exploded in South Carolina, I live in NC, so that's really close. Then they would inform me of the facts first. Then reassure me. I favor this approach since it builds trust while preventing your kid from developing PTSD. This is how I plan to be with my potential future kids.
You're mocking me with putting it in quotes. It's just I find that a lot of people nowadays don't want to have kids, so that's why I said it like that. And I didn't want to assume anything. Okay, so cool.
Wait,
Yeah.
for PTSD, do you need to add P period T period S period D period? Or do you just do PTSD period?
Okay, so technically you don't need to add the periods. But technically, if you're going to make it use an acronym like that, like in formal setting, formal writing, you would have to first say PTSD, like post-traumatic stress disorder, and then in brackets next to it, put PTSD. Then you could use PTSD throughout the rest of your writing. That's more for like essays and stuff, right? So, and PTSD is so common that it's the acronym like this is fine on its own. Okay, good stuff. Okay, let's keep going. Who we have next? James. Okay, James and Annabelle. Okay, James, would you like to read yours?
I have never asked my parents about my concerns about the community because I'm usually not interested. But the approach I would prefer is that parents should be completely honest and tell their children about the problems of the community. If children never knew that they weren't safe and that their parents were secretly discussing the problems, I would feel even worse if I found them secretly discussing it.
Children never knew that they weren't safe in the parents were if children, so the problem here is you switch from if children to yourself. So third party to first party, so in the same sentence. So it just needs to be consistent. So if you say if children, then you'd say they would feel even worse. Or, you go say if I never knew that I was not safe and I've caught my parents discussing problems, then I feel worse. Great. Okay, awesome. I never asked my parents about concerns about community because I'm not interested. Fair enough, fair enough. At your age, I don't think I was either. Annabelle, would you like to read yours?
My parents always keep me informed about what is happening around the world. They like giving long speeches about the government, and they are always,
Ooh.
for example, if that's the wrong there, and we are completely safe from any wars, but my parents would just say there is a war. I prefer this way because I don't like being lied to. If I ever had kids, this would be how I would.
Okay, awesome. So, sorry, you were breaking up a little bit there, but here's those keep me informed about what is happening in the world. They like giving long speech to the government. They always straight to the point. For example, if they're wrong there, uh, was a war. Some parents might start by saying we're completely safe from any wars. Um, then this would be removed. But my parents would just say there is a war. I prefer this way because I don't like being lied to. If I ever had kids, this would be how I would talk. Awesome. Okay, good stuff. Good stuff. I actually personally like Samuel and Russell's parents' approaches more personally. But another thing I would say is if you are not honest about things, then you know your kids will eventually grow up, right? And then they will have a harder time accepting things in the future. Like for example, like James says, I'm not usually interested about community stuff. That's totally fine. But I will say that like, when you get older, you will be forced to care about things in your community and etc. And then it might be a bit more of a shock to you than someone who is sort of like somewhat exposed to that earlier on. Um, okay. So that's going to be all for today, guys. Um, let's see. Do your parents? Okay, You know, I think I'm actually going to. I think I'm going to actually throw this as the homework question. Just like flesh out your idea. You guys can obviously use what you've already written, but you can add to it and expand on it. Okay, cool. Good. Also, by the way, has anyone been doing this? The
No.
meditate the meditation activity? No. If you have, and I forgot to ask, please just throw it in the chat, okay? Um, okay, that's all for today, guys. Have a good one.
Bye, thank
Zhao,
you.
Zhao, you could definitely do more than 1 second. You
Mhm.
guys should be able to do up to at least 5 minutes. No, 2 minute, 1 minute to start, and then work your way to 5 minutes within a couple days. Okay, that's all for today. Okay, goodbye.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.